This is Football 24/7. He's John McMullen, and I am Tone DeShields II. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys comment below. And most importantly, make sure you guys are subscribed to the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. Like I said, this is Football 24/7. And he's John McMullen, and I am Tone DeShields II. And we are so glad to be here discussing day 7 of Philadelphia Eagles training camp, open practices. So, John, we're going to make this show pretty quick, try to keep it between 20 to 25 minutes. And I got to get right into it, man. What are some of the observations you've had from day 7?
A little bit of a bounce back from the offense. When we were last able to see practice on Thursday, I always got to think about what day it is now. The offense really struggled. But I think a lot of it had to do with Andre Dillard, Jordan Mailata most notably, and Andre Dillard being out at left tackle. So it was LaRaven Clark at first team left tackle and Coyote Awosika as the second team left tackle. The Eagles offense had a real difficult time blocking. I think they adjusted today. Now, Jordan and Andre were still out, but I think they adjusted a little bit with the walkthrough in between, and they were able to hold things down a little bit better, at least. And Josh Shills kind of replaced Coyote on the second team, so the blocking was a little bit better, and that enabled the offense to do a little bit more. Probably a even day. I wouldn't say the offense won. I wouldn't say the defense won. Both made some plays, and I think that was kind of the ebb and flow. Nick Sirianni talked about the ebb and flow of training camp. Generally, what you like as a coach, maybe the offense wins one day, the defense wins the next, and you go back and forth. That's what you want as a coach. The defense has won far too many days, but this was probably an even day, and that's good for the offense, especially without those two tackles.
Yeah, I mean, listen, but missing both of your top two tackles, any team is going to look like a shell of themselves, right? But you mentioned something that was interesting. They had that walkthrough the day before or yesterday, and they managed to clean up those mistakes. What was the key difference for you that you witnessed in comparisons from day 6 to today, day 7?
Well, I think that was the most notable. That the fact, you can't play offense in this league if you can't block people. I talk about that all the time with offensive lines. That's the strength of this Eagles team, and it will be when the regular season rolls around, as long as everybody's healthy. Their offensive line is going to be, if it's not the best, it's going to be in the top 3 or 4 offensive lines in the NFL. And that's why the Eagles have a chance to win a lot of games, because if you can block people, you can win football games. If you can't, you're not going to win a lot of football games. So, that's what Howie Roseman always talks about. And he talked about it when the Eagles drafted Cam Jurgens again this year. He's like, I'm always going to default to the lines. That's how you build a successful football team. It's not always the sexiest decision, but if you look at the strength of this team on each side of the football, it's up front, and that's by design.
Yeah, obviously missing Mailata, Dillard, that's an obvious handicap. But blocking for Jalen Hurts doesn't necessarily make it any easier. He's such a mobile quarterback, and guys like LaRaven Clark, Awosika, Sills, those young guys, they're still trying to, figure things out, and then blocking for Hurts doesn't make it any better. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, how has this team improved, or have you noticed any difference in how they block for Jalen Hurts? Do they seem more confident when they're blocking for Hurts? Does Hurts seem to be trusting the line a bit more?
Well, I think the quarterback trusts the line. It's tough to get a better offensive line. I've asked this about, probably Tulane, Jason Kelsey, Isaac, all the veteran guys for years. Does it change for them to block for a mobile quarterback versus a pocket quarterback, so to speak. And to a man, most of them, to a man, everyone says no. I mean, from their perspective, think about it. I mean, they're looking straight ahead. They don't know what Jalen's doing back there. So,
Right.
Occasionally it might make it a little bit more difficult because the longer a quarterback is extending a play, again, the offensive line generally can't see what Jalen's doing. So if guys sort of go outside their body, so if you think about the shoulders, they're more liable to reach and more susceptible for a holding call. So it might make it a little bit more difficult for the offensive line when you have those long extended plays. But from their perspective, doesn't matter who the quarterback is, it doesn't really change their jobs all that much.
Okay, so blocking for a guy like Jalen Hurts, still, by my estimation, it wouldn't be easy because you 9 times out of 10, you just don't trust that guy to always stand tight in the pocket. He's going to try to exploit the lack of athleticism on the other side. He's going to try to make something happen. He's going to try to improvise. And you mentioned being more susceptible to penalties once you start to guess outside of your body, reaching outside of your shoulders. So I guess what's been your estimation or what's been your observation of this offensive line in terms of discipline when it comes to trying to avoid offensive holding penalties or false starts, things of that nature?
It's a pretty good unit as far as discipline goes. There's not a ton of penalties. You're going to get an occasional false start. That was a big issue with Jason Peters later in his career. A lot of times, I got to be honest with you, a lot of times referees, officials are going to give the benefit of the doubt to veteran players. So there's a lot of times when Lane gets that start a little bit too soon, probably should be a false start. They let him get away with it.
Right.
There's not a plethora of penalties usually with this particular team when it comes to the offensive line. And a lot of that has to do with reputation, to be honest. They're considered one of the best. And, if you think about it from an NBA perspective, stars get the benefit of the doubt. Same thing in the NFL. Stars get the benefit of the doubt.
True. So Jalen Hurts, let's talk about him. How do you gauge his performance today? From what I've been reading, it's been up and down from him just as it's been throughout this entire camp. So what's been your evaluation of him today on day 7?
Yeah, I'm nondescript, which is,
Wow.
a good day. As long as you're not turning the football over. I don't know what people are expecting at this stage. I really don't. If they're expecting 4,000 yards, you're going to be disappointed. One of my issues with the Eagles is they seem to be in this circle or whatever you want to call it, where they're going to start seasons with this square peg in the round hole mentality. As long as Jalen Hurts is here, we're going to throw the ball. We're going to throw the ball. We're going to throw the ball, and then adjust in what they did last year. I think, and I've said it before on the show, I think they should go the Baltimore route. I think they should build around the skills of the quarterback. They don't have Aaron Rodgers. They don't have, forget a veteran player. If you want to look at a younger player, they don't have Justin Herbert. They don't have Joe Burrow. He's never going to be those guys from a throwing perspective. But those guys are never going to be Jalen Hurts from a read option perspective, from an extending play perspective, from an off-schedule perspective. Why not build around that? And, I've been around Jeffrey Lurie for a long time, been around this team now for a long time. So we all know what he wants. He advertises it. He thinks, and he's right, by the way, the best way to be a consistent team in this league is to develop a high-octane passing offense. So that's fine. That's for the offseason. Try to get better. Try to get Russell Wilson. You didn't do it. Then you revert. Okay, Jalen Hurts is our quarterback. Let's go try to win games with Jalen Hurts. Ultimately, they're going to do that. Nick Sirianni's going to do that. He's proven on a particular Sunday he's going to do whatever it takes to win the football game. But why not prepare like that? Why not prepare like that instead of pretending Jalen Hurts is going to turn into Justin Herbert? Not going to happen.
And I think that's my thing, right? You know, you have a situation where this quarterback, Jalen Hurts, he has limitations on his game. That's just a reality. And
everybody does, by the way.
Yeah,
it's not an insult. Everybody does. Nobody's perfect. Aaron Rodgers isn't perfect.
But there are certain formulas that you can win with in the long term versus the short term. Me personally, as much as I am a Lamar Jackson fan, I believe that formula they have in there has its limitations. And once you get deeper into the playoffs, eventually you got to be able to throw that pill. And I think that's the limitation of that style of offense. And I think that's what Jeffrey Lurie and those guys are trying to avoid. But like you said, you have what you have.
You have what you have. And there are limitations, but I kind of look at it the other way. It lessens the margin of error, which I always talk about. What the San Francisco 49ers have proven with Jimmy Garoppolo. All right, they have a lesser margin of error than Green Bay.
Okay.
They beat Green Bay in the playoffs. They have a lesser margin of error than the Rams, but they were on the verge of beating the Rams.
They beat them in the regular season.
And they did. And if Jaquiski Tartt comes up with the interception, they're going to the Super Bowl. Yeah. You go to the Super Bowl when they were there against the Chiefs. It's a perfect example. They outplayed the Chiefs for 45 minutes of that game, probably 50 minutes of that game. And then the Chiefs got hot and it was over. That's the smaller margin of error. Granted, it exists, but a team like San Francisco has proven you can make deep runs with a below average quarterback. Let's be honest, a below average quarterback. You can make significant runs. The Eagles have built a heck of a roster. They can make a run if they play the right way. Are they going to come back from 2 touchdowns? No, they're not. They're not equipped to do that. So you have to play a certain way. If the Eagles get the lead, for instance, that everybody wants to play from the lead, but it's probably more important for the Eagles than certain other teams. If you have Justin Herbert, if you have Joe Burrow, you can come back from 14 points. So, but you also have to have the other players as well. So the margin of error for the Eagles is probably a little bit smaller, as long as Jalen Hurts is the quarterback. Doesn't mean you can't win. But you have to prepare to win. Like Kyle Shanahan knows what he had at quarterback, and he knows it wasn't good enough. And if you go back, and I always talk about that divisional round, you could literally see the moment. And it was Eric Kendricks who intercepted a pass. It was one of the worst throws you'll ever see in your life. And he said, all right, we're taking the air out of the football. This team can't stop our run game. They can't score because of our defense. And we're going to win ugly. And they won ugly. And they got to the Super Bowl, and they almost pulled off the upset. Now, I don't understand this organization's philosophy of this is going to be a top tier passing quarterback. We're at 8 practices. When is the light switch gonna go off? What are people expecting? It's astonishing to me. It really is.
I mean, I've told people he Jalen Hurts, he's never going to be a top 5 pass. I'm sorry, I like him. But he's not going to be a top 5 pass. He's not going to be a top 5 passer. He's just not, and that's the unfortunate reality. And fans are looking at this through Jalen Hurts colored glasses, and I've been trying to explain to them.
I always ask fans, do you want to be lied to? Do you really? Do people like being lied to? This is not going to be a 4,000-yard passer. Period. Not going to happen.
You know, for me, I believe what's realistic for Jalen Hurts, because he threw 3,100, almost 3,200, 2021. I believe a realistic jump for him would probably be throwing for maybe 35, 3,600, and then he rushes for about 600 yards, something like that. I would love for that number to
I'm
go
not
down.
even concerned about the number so much, Tone.
Right.
Why
Right.
do people why do people want the number to be that high?
Really
First of
quick,
all,
John. I think what's most important for Jalen Hurts, in my humble opinion, and just for this offense, they need to be an efficient offense, and an offense that knows how to score their way and knows how to sustain drives and be the most physical team on the field and not turn the ball over. I think that's how this Philadelphia Eagles team win.
exactly. And I'll make a prediction right now. The more yards he throws for, the worse the Eagles are.
Wow.
Because that indicates they're behind in games. He's forced to throw the football. Maybe the yardage accumulates, but they're not going to be playing winning football. So, by some strange act of God, he throws for 4,000 yards. This team isn't making the playoffs.
Well, maybe that's why Shane Steichen became the new play caller, because he saw the writing on the wall. He saw the pure limitations of this quarterback, and this offense became a running style or run heavy style offense, and they were more so leaning, running to pass. I'm sorry. Well, however you want to put it, they were more so leading with the run and then passing at when need be. So I say that to say, is this offense, I guess, poised to take advantage of their strengths with Shane Steichen being the play caller, since he already saw the writing on the wall come that Raiders week last season.
It's Nick's offense. Nick saw the writing on the wall. Nick changed the offense. Really, it started in that Las Vegas game before Shane took over the play calling. The play calling aspect has to do with, Nick felt he was not able to oversee other parts of the team, which I applaud him for. I'm a big fan of CEO coaches. Anybody who listens to me knows that he's not the head coach of the offense. He's the head coach of the football team. So he's got to be able to check in with the defense, the special teams, whenever, whatever's going on, time management, timeouts, all that stuff, making difficult decisions. And if you get bogged down in play calling, a lot of times you're gonna make bad decisions in other aspects. But so he was the one. Nick Sirianni was the one who said, you know what, we're putting too much on his plate. We got to scale this back. That was all directed from the head coach, and it's his team, it's his offense, and so I don't think that was a magic sort of. Nick thought we got to pass, and Shane thought we were going to run. They had already made that shift before Shane Steichen had taken over the play calling. The problem to me is the disconnect. I think we mentioned it last week. He's trying to serve two masters here as a young coach. He's trying to make the guys who hired him happy because they want a certain thing. They want a high octane passing offense. So he spends all this time in the offseason trying to get people up to speed to have this high octane passing offense. And then all of a sudden it's September 11th in Detroit, and you're not equipped to win that way. You might be Detroit because it's a bad football team, but all of a sudden you might be 2-5 like last year. Now, I don't think it will take him as long to scrap it and say, you know what, we can't win this way. We have to win this way.
But why not pick up where they left off? Last season, they realized.
Because the owner doesn't want that. The owner just spent $100 million on a wide receiver. He doesn't want that. So you almost have to prove to him it ain't going to happen. And then you can ship back and everybody goes, all right, you're right. And let's take advantage of that offensive line. And let's take advantage of Jalen Hurts' unique skill set. He can make plays as a thrower. I'm not saying he can't make plays. He made a ton of plays as throwing the football. But he's not going to sit there in the pocket and throw the football consistently. That's not his game. And the Eagles are doing a disservice and pounding the square peg in the round hole by trying to pretend. We're 8 practices in. Again, I'll say it. What are people? You have A.J. Brown out there. You have Dallas Goedert. You have Devontae Smith, who's injured right now, but had been out there. What more do you need to see?
Yeah.
It's not changing magically. That's where we are.
So what was your evaluation of the defense then? We know the offense is up and down. Was it good defense, or was everyone just pretty much just milling it in on a Saturday afternoon?
No, I mean, like I said, it's not that the defense didn't play poorly. It did play poorly. It's just that the offense kind of rebounded a little bit. And I would say, probably if it were a fight, I'd rule it a draw. They made some plays as well. Darius Slay made a great interception on 7-on-7s when Jalen underthrew Quez Watkins a little bit. James Bradbury continues to play. T.J. Edwards has been tremendous. Mentioned the defensive line. Marcus Epps, Boston Scott is on the injury list with a concussion.
Why does Marcus Epps keep injuring everyone? It seems like every time.
It's amazing because Marcus is, I've mentioned he's remade his body and he's turned from undersized, not physical to, he's injuring people. Now, he shouldn't be injuring people, but, he's played very, very well. The linebackers, T.J. Edwards, Kaiser White, Davion Taylor, the corners, it's a good defense. It's a good defense from a talent perspective.
So, as we begin to close the show, I want to ask you, when it comes to that safety position, that's the most questionable position on the defense right now. But Marcus Epps is starting to make a case that may not be the case. But let me ask you, who today are your 2 starting safeties come week 1?
Marcus Epps and Anthony Harris, and they are not being challenged. So barring injury, those are your starters at safety.
From what I'm hearing, Chachere is starting to make a claim for himself that Kevon Wallace maybe shouldn't be on his roster.
Yeah, that's interesting. He's pushing. I think it's more of like, where does Jaquiski Tartt fit? Because I think that's a big name. Some people thought he was going to come in and be a starter. He might not even make this roster now. They've started giving Josiah Scott second-team reps, who's the backup slot corner. So it's pretty evident to me they want to keep him on the team. I think Andre Chachere is sort of has to make the team on special teams. The Eagles are probably going to keep 4 safeties, and I think we all came into this saying, well, Epps and Harris and Tartt are going to be 3 of them. I'm not so sure Tartt is guaranteed a job. He continues to play on the 3rd team a lot. So you might see Kayvon and Andre Chachere on the team, especially because they can both help more than Jaquiski Tartt on special teams. So if Tartt's not going to be a starter, and he's not going to be a starter, they might say, well, why don't we keep the special teams players?
Right. 2 final questions. One, what are the odds Zach Pascal makes this roster? He's missed a lot of training camp, and guys like Brent Covey are fighting for that spot. They're trying to make it difficult for those guys, for Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni to make a decision. So you said no shot.
The only way Zach Pascal isn't on this team is if he gets food poisoning again. Zach was finally back at practice. He lost 16 pounds, Tone,
Whoa.
from his bout with food poisoning. It was really serious. He was hospitalized. But he's back, and he was on the first team today because Devontae was out. Nick Sirianni likes him. He trusts him. Guy like Britton
that goes a long way.
Yeah, guy like Britton Kobe's undrafted rookie, no shot to beat out Zach Pascal.
Wow.
Britton Kobe's most likely earmarked for the practice squad. He's had a couple good practices recently, but he's very small. He can only play in the slot. If Jalen hit, to me, Britton Kobe is only in the equation if the Eagles can trade Jalen Reagor, because Jalen's going to be the punt returner if he's here. If he's not here, the Eagles are going to need a punt returner. Then they might start thinking about Britton Kobe, especially if he plays well in the preseason games, because he's going to get a ton of reps in the preseason. He'll be on the practice squad, though.
Okay, cool. So a final question. Who gets your training camp game ball for the offense and game ball for the defense?
I gave it to A.J. Brown overall. A.J., by the way, he's going to get – if practice is any indication, he's going to get 200 stinking targets. All they ever do is throw the ball to A.J. Brown. His presence is tough to deal with. I mean, when he catches the football in stride, corners are like, running out of the way of Godzilla. I mean, it's like an old Japanese movie. I mean, he's tough to bring down. Today he caught a crossing pattern and he stiff-armed poor Kerry Vincent twice, and he was just hanging on for dear life. He is a big, physical, imposing presence. And boy, I would love to see him with Justin Herbert, but
hey, John, be careful. Yeah. You still got to go to the link.
Poor AJ's had Ryan Tannehill. He had a run-first offense in Tennessee. He's going to have a run-first offense here. It's just a matter, and he's still going to put up numbers because he's so good. But it would be interesting. Like I always joked, I mean, people in this town hate Jalen Reagor, and he's been very ineffective. I say, if he gets to Green Bay, watch what happens.
Man. And what about the game ball on defense?
I went with Slay on defense. He made the great interception. He also, AJ tried to Randy Moss him at one point, and he tried to put up the hands late. Randy used to always do that. So the DBs wouldn't know when the ball was going to arrive. He tried that on Slay. It didn't work. But the interception was a really, really athletic play. Very few corners could make the interception Slay made today. And he might have been out of bounds, but they ruled him in bounds. But we'll keep that quiet.
You guys heard it here first. He's John McMullen, and I am Tone DeShields II. You guys were locked in on football 24/7. Listen, you guys, this is going to be a very interesting season. We have a quarterback in Philadelphia that we still don't know everything about, but from what we know, don't expect this kid to throw 4,000 plus yards. That's just not his style. But should we expect efficient football? Yes. Should we expect turnover-free football? Absolutely. And I think that's how this Philadelphia Eagles team will win. Constantly try to seek a short field. Don't turn the ball over. Be efficient. Do what you do best. Be physical. And, you have to live with the results at the end of the day. But, you guys, like I said, you were tuned into football 24/7 with John McMullen, and I am Tone DeShields II. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys comment below. Also, make sure you guys are subscribed to the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. And if you want more from John McMullen, check out his articles on JAKIBsports.com. That's JAKIB Sports.com. One love, stay humble, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay hungry, you guys. Take care.